Greetings, gorgeous earthlings. It is I, Christina, here at Fit and Bendy in Los Angeles, and today's video is about how posture and standing up straight can actually be a cause of your back pain if you're not using the correct muscles. We're going to talk about how that can happen and how to counteract it using the correct muscles to stack your spine in a way that's going to feel good and look good. All right, let's get started. We all know that we're not supposed to stand like this, right? But what do we do about it? Most often what I'll see is that when we try to stand up straight, there's a hinging from the upper back, pulling the shoulder blades together. The problem with this is that it doesn't really correct our posture, and it can super stress out the muscles that make that happen in our mid and upper backs. This doesn't look particularly comfortable, does it? It's not. And it is a really common cause of mid and upper back pain. If you have mid and upper back pain, I ask you to check in and see if that's what you're doing. And here is an alternative way to think about posture, building from the ground up. Question 1, how do we know if our posture is good? I will tell you the anatomical definition of good posture. If you look at yourself from a side in the mirror or by taking a picture of yourself, your ear should be stacked over your shoulder, should be stacked over your hip, which is over your knee, which is over your ankle bone. Now, there will be deviations from this depending on our anatomy and our lifestyles and our bodies, but this is the textbook definition. If you're having pain and tightness, looking at where you deviate from that can maybe give you some clues of things you can work on to help with your pain and tightness. So let's talk about how to move towards this in a way that's going to be healthy for our bodies. We're going to actually start with the pelvis today. So when we think about our pelvic position, we want to check in with where our hip bones are and where our pubic bone is. So our hip bones and our pubic bone should be relatively even with each other. So we don't want the pubic bone to be way behind the hip bones or way in front of the hip bones. Both of those will put stress on our pelvis and lower back. So what you want to think about doing is engaging the muscles of the pelvic floor and the lower abdominal muscles to create this flatness through the bones. This is not a flatness through the belly or the butt. Those are going to do their own thing depending on your anatomy. It's just checking in with the bones and the musculature. Then we have a nice solid foundation to build our spine out of. The second part that we want to think of are the muscles of our waist, our meat corset muscles. And these muscles are really important for supporting that big gap between the pelvis and the rib cage. And these are not our six-pack muscles. These are our meat corset muscles that wrap around our waist. And a good way to feel that is to put your hands on your waist and cough a few times. Like a cat with a hairball. And when you feel that, you should feel these muscles in the waist contracting and pulling in. What we want as we walk around isn't like a full hairball cough contraction. It's just a light engagement of those muscles so that they're just on, they're working. They know that they have a job to do. And I do have a series coming out all on strengthening the core for good posture and flexibility. So stay tuned and turn on those notifications if you want to see it. And so now we have our pelvic floor, our nice base for our spine, our meat corset muscles gently engaged to support our lower backs. And let's get into what's going on with our upper backs. So already established, what we don't want is to hinge at the upper back and pull the shoulder blades together. What do we do instead? To find that engagement, let's go ahead, and I'm going to turn my back so you can see what I'm up to. And we're going to bring both arms straight out to the side on our nice foundation. And we're going to feel shoulder blade movement. So I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together. This is what we don't want to do. And I'm going to pull them apart. This is what we do want to feel more of. And let's just go back and forth between the two. You do want to be able to be strong in both of these positions. Shoulder blades together isn't a bad position. It's just not how we want to walk around all day. But if you're having a hard time feeling that shoulder blade pulling apart feeling, this is probably an awesome sauce thing to work on. If I show you this from the side, what you want to make sure is that you're not popping the chest forward using those mid-back muscles to get it, or pulling your arms back behind you as you go. Just imagine you're squashed between two panes of glass, so your spine can't move forward and back, your arms can't move forward and back, One way that you can do this is to press your back flat against the wall, and that can tell you if you are deviating from that center line at all. Now we want to add a little bit of external rotation of the shoulders. That's going to help with our shoulder position. So when my shoulder blades are pulled apart and I'm reaching out super long, I'm going to turn my palms to face the ceiling and maybe even a little bit further past that, not changing anything else. And that's going to inspire the muscles in the back of my armpits to work. Let's try that a couple more times. So shoulder blades pulled apart, rotating my arms backwards in the sockets. Feel those back of the armpit muscles working. Now, as I do this, I can really feel my upper back muscles working. These are the postural muscles that we want to think of as holding us up. You will notice that my mid back is not working a lot. It is straight and strong, but it is not engaging to lift my chest. That's not its postural job. Let's stop in that externally rotated position, pulling those arms apart, feeling those muscles work. Notice I'm not bringing my arms behind me. I'm just trying to touch both walls at the sides, both at the same time. Now, keeping my strong pelvic position, little bit of meat corset, shoulder blades apart, externally rotated. Let the arms drop. Should feel nice. We have one more component, of course, which is our head. So let's talk about the head and neck and finding a good head and neck position. Start by aligning everything else: pelvis, meat corset, shoulder blades, external rotation. And then we're going to bring both arms up and interlace your hands on the back of the head. And as you do this, you want to make a nice basket for your head, and you want to take your thumbs and just make a little seat right at the base of your skull here. And I like to imagine that my head is a cork and I'm trying to decork my body. So I'm using my hands to lift my head straight up towards the ceiling. I'm not doing that by dropping my chin or by lifting my chin. The bottom of my chin is staying parallel to the floor. I'm just gently pulling straight up with my hands. And then I'm going to press my head back into my hands, using my hands to provide just a little bit of resistance. And that's going to strengthen the muscles in my neck. And I'm particularly focused on these muscles right in there. If I was to rip out my own esophagus, the muscles right underneath there. Those are the muscles that help to bring our head back so that our ear is going to be in line with our shoulder. From here, my elbows get nice and wide. That's defined that pulling apart of the shoulder blade muscles. So I'm not doing it by squeezing my shoulder blades together. I'm pulling them apart and externally rotating my arms and lifting the crown of my head towards the ceiling. And we're just going to hold here for another 5 seconds. You should be able to feel your upper back muscles working as well in this position, providing that resistance for the head. That's why I like this position a lot, because it inspires both the upper back and the neck muscles to learn to work together. You can do this sitting at your desk at any point during the day, when you're on the bus, when you're walking around. Nobody will think you're weird. And if they do, who cares? All right, let's go ahead and drop those arms now and check in. Pelvis, meat corset, shoulder blades apart, external rotation. Pop the cork. It might feel really weird. If this is new to you, it might feel very like, how am I supposed to walk around like this? Don't worry about it. Just keep checking in with it. Repeat it. The first time I stood up straight, I was like, there's no way I could possibly live this way. And I still don't stand up perfectly straight. It's just something I'm always working on and working towards as a way of reducing tightness and pain in my body and feeling and moving better. And it should be thought of more as a process and an interaction with your body, rather than like you have to reach some sort of goal at which point you will be done and you will be perfect. That's just not how this stuff works. So just think of it as an interaction. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you want more juicy tidbits, including an entire exercise on finding that upper back extension, that is linked here. And I drop new videos all the time, so please subscribe and hit that notification button so you see what's coming up next. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments section. And I love you so much. I can't wait to hear from you. Happy bendings.